You might not remember the exact moment it happened, but chances are it started the same way it did for countless others. A soft promise wrapped in pretty packaging. A lip powder that claimed to refresh, to tint just enough to bring back that youthful glow, to feel light as air while hiding the traces of time. And like many, you trusted it because why wouldn't you? It sounded gentle. It looked elegant. It spoke the language of hope. But here's what they didn't tell you. On older lips, on skin that's lived through 6, 7, 8 decades of stories, that soft dust doesn't disappear, it settles. It clings. It highlights every fine line with cruel precision. In today's video, we'll uncover the truth behind products like these, explore how they can betray our trust, and most importantly, talk about what your skin really needs instead. If you've ever stood in front of a mirror and wondered, why does this make me look older? You are not alone. And what you're about to hear might change the way you care for your skin forever. It often begins with a subtle ad, a gentle voice, a promise whispered through the screen. Reclaim your youth, erase the years, feel fresh again. A product glistening with words like natural, revitalizing, age-defying. And in that quiet moment of curiosity, a hand reaches for the phone or the remote. After all, who wouldn't want to feel beautiful again? Who wouldn't want to see in the mirror the version of themselves they remembered before the crow's feet, before the lines deepened with every smile, every tear, every silent thought over the years? This is where the misunderstanding creeps in, not out of ignorance, but out of hope. Hope that a single product can turn back time, that a powder puff or a rosy balm might hide the history etched on one's skin. Yet what many don't realize, what even the smartest, wisest among us may overlook, is that the very thing we believe is refreshing, nourishing, even magical, can in fact betray us in the cruelest of ways. Take, for example, a lip powder, sleek in packaging and soft to the touch. It glides on effortlessly, promising a youthful glow, a subtle tint that lifts the face. But minutes after application, the mirror reveals a harsher truth. The powder settles into every tiny line, every crack of dryness, and suddenly, the lips look not younger, but older. What once was a whisper of elegance now screams of age. The same fine lines one hoped to conceal are now drawn in sharper contrast. But by then, the money is spent, the product sits on the vanity, and the heart sinks a little. Not because of vanity, but because of disappointment. Because we dared to hope, and the hope turned hollow. For many elderly individuals, especially those living alone or distanced from younger generations, advertising becomes a kind of gentle companion. The voices on TV, the smiling faces in commercials, they don't just sell a product, they sell a dream that youth can be bottled, packaged, shipped to your door in a neat little box. And when the joints begin to ache, when the mirror reflects someone we don't quite recognize, that dream is seductive. It tells us we can control what time has taken. But the truth is, not all that glitters in a commercial is gold. Not all that is labeled anti-aging is your friend. Worse still, these products are often marketed with phrases carefully chosen to lure the elderly sensitive skin tested, dermatologist approved, rejuvenating formula. But the fine print is always smaller, hidden. Ingredients that dry the skin further. Compounds that cling to rough textures and accentuate what they claim to hide. And with age, our skin behaves differently. It becomes thinner, less elastic, more prone to irritation. So a powder that a younger person finds lovely may become a cruel trick when applied to older skin. The problem is not that elderly individuals are too trusting, it's that the marketing preys on that trust. It feeds on the desire to feel relevant, seen, appreciated again. And that's the true tragedy. Because beauty at this age is real, profound, and does not need masking. But society has trained us to believe otherwise. There are countless stories, too many to count off, elderly women who, upon trying a trending new lip product or a supposedly age-friendly foundation, find themselves not only disillusioned, but also hurt. "I thought it would make me look fresher," one woman said, after a viral internet powder cracked visibly across her lips. "Instead, I looked like I hadn't drunk water in a week." Another gentleman, trying to conceal age spots for a family reunion, was mortified when the concealer caked under sunlight and drew attention instead of deflecting it. These moments may seem trivial, but to the person experiencing them, they're anything but, because with every failed attempt, confidence chips away. The mirror, once a friend, becomes a reminder of defeat. What's worse, some of these products do more than disappoint, they harm. Dryness that leads to bleeding cracks, fragrances that irritate sensitive skin, preservatives that trigger allergic reactions, and yet they're sold in cheerful packaging with promises of transformation. It's not uncommon for someone to spend hundreds, even thousands, trying one product after another, chasing the fantasy that youth can be reapplied like makeup. But when each new product falls short, the damage is no longer just physical, it's emotional. It's a quiet kind of grief, the grief of realizing that society sold you an illusion and you bought it, not out of vanity, but out of a longing to feel whole. It must be said loudly, being older does not mean being invisible, and caring for yourself is not a crime. But the misunderstanding lies in what kind of care truly nourishes. Products that promise too much and deliver too little are not just marketing failures, they are emotional traps. Elderly people are not lacking wisdom, they are full of lived experience. But even wisdom can be disarmed when hope is wrapped in shiny words. The key is not to stop caring about appearance, but to shift the mindset from hiding age to honoring age, from chasing what was to embracing what is. That means choosing products that hydrate instead of conceal. That means understanding your skin, your body, your needs, and not letting a commercial dictate your worth. There's strength in wisdom, in accepting what time has gifted you. Wrinkles are not flaws, they're the map of your journey. Fine lines aren't mistakes. They're the proof you've smiled, cried, and lived. But marketers don't tell you that. They want you to believe that old means broken, that wrinkles mean failure. Don't listen. Look in the mirror not with regret, but with reverence. You've earned every crease. The truth is, aging isn't the enemy. Misleading products are. And to fight them, we don't need another bottle or tube. We need awareness. We need conversations like this. We need daughters and sons, caregivers and friends to help the elderly choose wisely, not based on trends, but on truth. That means reading labels, asking questions, and most of all, being proud of the skin you're in. Beauty at 70, 80, 90s, not a myth. It just doesn't come in powder form. So the next time a shiny ad tries to sell you instant youth, remember this: true beauty doesn't fade with age. It deepens. It speaks through your eyes, your voice, your kindness. And no product, no matter how well packaged, can ever replicate that. The fine lines on your face, they're not mistakes to hide. They're your story. And that, more than anything, deserves to be seen. And yet, as we peel back the shimmering layers of misunderstanding surrounding these so-called miracle products, another truth unfolds zone even more intimate, more quietly devastating. It lies not in the commercials we see, but in the skin we live in every day. You see, aging skin is not just older, it is different. Fundamentally, biologically, irrevocably different. And for anyone who has felt the sting of a product that was supposed to be gentle, this is the part where the story turns sharply real. Because the very structure of your skin, once thick and resilient in youth, has thinned like parchment. It no longer bounces back. It bruises easily. It dries faster. It becomes, in every sense of the word, fragile. And that fragility demands respect something most products, especially those mass-marketed with glittery promises, simply don't offer. What they offer instead is a uniform solution, designed for a face that does not live in the world you live in. They sell results based on 25-year-old skin, then package it for people in their 70s. That's not skincare. That's a lie, dressed up in lavender and rosehip oil. Let's talk about texture, because that's where many of these so-called anti-aging products betray us. A younger person's skin is smooth, even if imperfect. But older skin has a texture that tells stories. It folds, it creases, it remembers. So when you apply a foundation or a lip powder formulated for tight, plump skin, what happens? It settles, it seeps, It finds the lines you didn't even know you had and makes them louder. That soft veil you expected becomes a mass tight in some places, cracking in others. And worse, it doesn't just look unnatural, it feels wrong. Tight, dry, heavy. Imagine placing a silk sheet over fine lace and expecting it to look smooth. It won't, because the base of the skin has changed. And unless the product honors that change, it will always fail. And yet, many of us persist. We think, maybe I applied it wrong, maybe I need the serum too, maybe I didn't use the right primer. And so we try again and again, layer after layer, hoping to outsmart the truth of our biology. But skin doesn't lie. It doesn't care how much you paid or what the bottle said. If it's not made for you, your skin will reject it, subtly at first. Then, with more rebellion, dry patches become rough. Areas that used to glow now look dull. And somewhere, beneath all those layers, the real youth aversion that just wants to feel confident again gets lost. But there's something more dangerous than just looking older than you hoped. There's the harm you don't see right away, the invisible damage. Many of these products contain alcohols meant to give that instant matte look, but those same alcohols draw moisture out of the skin, accelerating dehydration. Others use shimmer particlesmica, silica, that reflect light to blur imperfections. But on older skin, they don't blur, they spotlight. The sparkle lands inside creases and turns them into neon signs. Even worse are the hidden irritants, fragrance additives, parabens, formaldehyde releasers. Yes, formaldehyde. Imagine applying that to skin already thinned by time. It's not just misguided, it's cruel. And here's what no one tells you. Your skin doesn't just age on the outside. It changes from within. Collagen production drops, elastin breaks down. The sebaceous glands, the ones that kept you glowing in your 30 shave, slow to a crawl. What this means is that even gentle pressure can cause redness. A new cream might seem fine at first, but within hours, tiny red blotches bloom, especially around the eyes, lips, and jaw. And then comes the itching, the flaking, the slow realization that what you hoped would nourish you has turned against you. And for what? For a fleeting promise made by a stranger on a screen? The most heartbreaking part is watching someone you care about, maybe even yourself, go through this cycle. They buy, they try, they react, they regret, they retreat, and each time, their trust in their own reflection weakens. Not because they aren't beautiful, but because they've been made to feel otherwise. Made to feel that they must fight their skin rather than care for it. That they must correct instead of honor. But the truth, the real truth, is that older skin isn't broken. It's just different, and it needs different thingsless coverage, more hydration, fewer promises, more protection, less illusion, more truth. It's a strange paradox. The more your skin needs kindness, the more companies try to mask it. The moment your skin needs moisture, they sell you matte. When it needs calm, they offer you tingling effects. And when it needs support, they give you shimmer. It's almost as if the industry doesn't see elderly skin as worthy of true care, only of camouflage. But you are not something to be hidden. You are not a flaw. You are not a before waiting for an after. You are whole now. Think of your skin like a dear friend who has stood by you through every storm. It has weathered sunlight, wind, sadness, laughter, illness, joy. It has not tired, it is seasoned. And like any seasoned thing, it needs gentler handling. Soft cloth instead of harsh scrub, nourishing oils instead of drying sprays, ingredients like hyaluronic acid, ceramides, peptides not to cover, but to care. And most of all, it needs respect. The kind that doesn't come from a product, but from within. So why aren't more products made with this in mind? Why aren't ads showing real, older, skin-not-retouched models with a hint of silver in their hair, but the texture of a 20-year-old's cheeks? Because honesty doesn't sell as fast as fantasy. Because the industry profits from your dissatisfaction. The more you chase the illusion, the more they sell. It's a system that feeds on self-doubt. And it must be broken not just for your skin, but for your peace of mind. You deserve better. Not because you want to look younger, but because you deserve products that understand the richness of your age. Because beauty should never be something you have to apologize for. And age should never be something you have to hide. This is the moment to take the mirror back, to look into it not with judgment, but with compassion. Not asking, how can I fix this? But instead, how can I care for this beautiful, living canvas that has held me through the decades? Because when you shift that perspective, everything changes. You begin to choose products not out of desperation, but out of love. You begin to speak kindly to yourself. And slowly, surely, the skin responds not by becoming 20 again, but by becoming healthier, stronger, more comfortable. And isn't that what you wanted all along? Not to turn back time, but to feel good in your skin today. To wake up, apply a little moisture, maybe a soft tint, and smile. Not because you erased the lines, but because you finally saw them for what they are. The poetry of a life fully lived. And yet, for all the damage done by creams and serums that dry and sting and promise too much, nothing delivers betrayal quite like the silent, grainy seduction of powder-based cosmetics. These products, the translucent setting powders, the matte finish foundations, the delicate lip powders, seem innocent enough at first glance. They sit in pristine cases, feather soft under the fingertips, whispering promises of a porcelain finish and a smoother, more youthful appearance. And so, trusting their light touch and clean look, many reach for them instinctively. After all, isn't powder meant to soften flaws? Isn't it supposed to blur, to hide? But on mature skin, these powders don't hide, they reveal. They don't blur, they spotlight. They don't help you guessed it, they hurt. And the worst part, they do it quietly. Not in dramatic breakouts or allergic reactions, but in subtle, soul-wounding betrayals every time you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and think, why do I look older than I did before I tried to look younger? Powder is, by design, meant to absorb. In youth, that means soaking up excess oil for a flawless, matte effect. But in age, where skin is already dry and struggling to retain moisture, powder behaves like a thief. It draws out the little hydration left on the surface, exaggerating every line, every crease, every pocket of texture with brutal precision. What began as a light dusting to set, the makeup becomes a layer of defeat that settles into the valleys of the face. The crow's feet at the corners of the eyes deepen. The smile lines grow harsher. Even the delicate skin on the upper lip, the area most women try to preserve, gets caked, cracked, and crumbled under the weight of what was supposed to enhance it. Nowhere is this deception more painful than on the lips. Lip powders, often marketed as chic, modern alternatives to lipsticks, promise a youthful tint with a velvety finish. They come in gentle, rosy shades, packaged to appeal to mature sensibilities. But when applied to older lips, which naturally lose collagen and plumpness with age, they behave like sand in a dry riverbed. Instead of gliding over the lips, they cling to them, sinking into the tiniest vertical lines. From a distance, the result may seem passable, but up close, it's devastating. Every time you speak, smile, or sip water, the powder shifts. It cracks, it flakes. And what you see in the mirror is not youthful vibrance, but an unforgiving spotlight on the very signs of aging you had hoped to soften. And then comes the most ironic twist of all. The more powder you use, the worse it gets. You pat on more to fix the unevenness. You dab a little extra to blur the cracks. You try a different brand, a different color, a new application technique, but instead of fixing anything, each layer only makes the surface more textured, more dry, more lifeless. Before long, what began as a 5-minute makeup routine turns into a desperate 20-minute battle with brushes and mirrors and hope. And when that fails, you begin to believe the lie that maybe you're just too old to look nice anymore. But the problem isn't you, it's the product. It's the idea that mature skin should be treated the same way as youthful skin. It's the marketing machine that insists on matte over moist, blur over balance, coverage over comfort. And this misguided obsession with powder so lightweight, so breathable, becomes a cruel joke when they begin to accentuate every pore and crack in your skin like a pencil tracing flaws on a canvas. Have you ever stepped into natural light after applying powder-based makeup and felt a jolt of shock at your reflection? It's not just you. What may seem acceptable under warm bathroom lights becomes harsh and unforgiving under the sun or in photos. The powder casts a veil over the skin knot, one of mystery or allure, but one of false age. It makes you look tired, even when you're well rested. It makes your cheeks look sunken, your jaw more hollow, your eyes less alive. It's not because you are those things. It's because powder settles into the soft terrain of mature skin like dry silt in a stream bed, catching every contour and magnifying it tenfold. And let us not forget the psychological cost. There's a silent erosion that happens when a product betrays you. When you look into a mirror, expecting to see the best version of yourself, and instead feel disappointment gnawing at the edges of your confidence. Over time, this doesn't just affect how you feel about makeup, it affects how you feel about yourself. You start questioning whether it's even worth trying. You start skipping events, dodging photographs, avoiding your reflection, all because a simple powder claimed to help, but left you feeling worse. But this isn't where your story ends, because buried beneath the layers of drying powders and broken promises is still vibrant, wise, radiant you. And there is a way forward, not by abandoning self-care or appearance, but by shifting the products we choose and the truths we accept. The first step is to acknowledge that powder-based products are not made for skin that has seen 6 or 7 decades of life. They are designed for a canvas that no longer exists on your face, and that's okay. Because your canvas is not flawed, it is evolving, it deserves gentleness, hydration, products that glide, not cling, that enhance, not exaggerate. Imagine instead a light cream blush that melts into your cheeks with warmth, giving you a glow that mirrors vitality instead of masking age. Imagine a tinted lip balm that nourishes as it colors, leaving your lips soft, supple, and truly refreshed. Imagine letting go of the pressure to set your face and instead allowing it to breathe, move, and be fully present. Isn't that what aging gracefully should be about? Not hiding behind layers of powder, but revealing the calm, strong beauty of a face that has endured, overcome, and still dares to shine. This isn't about rejecting makeup. It's about reclaiming it, about choosing products that respect your skin rather than punishing it, about no longer buying into the illusion that powder equals polish. You are not a photograph that needs retouching. You are a living, breathing portrait, and powder, despite its airy promises, has no place in hiding that beauty. So the next time you see a commercial with a 25-year-old model applying blurring powder with a smile, remember this: that product wasn't made for you. Not because you're less, but because you are more lived, more layered, more real, and you deserve products that honor that truth. Products that see your skin not as a problem to fix, but as a masterpiece to care for. That, more than any powder, is what real beauty is built on. And now, as we stand at the edge of the powder battlefield, having watched one too many fine lines deepen under false promises, it becomes clear that the path forward is not to fight our faces, but to finally begin listening to them. Mature skin does not beg for concealment, it cries for nourishment. It does not ask to be hidden, it longs to be healed. The true art of aging gracefully does not lie in blurring or baking, covering or contouring. It lies in care, thoughtful, deliberate, loving care. And it starts with a simple shift in mindset, from correction to connection, from panic over lost youth to a powerful, conscious decision to feed the skin what it needs, not what marketing tells us it should want. Because here's what no one dares to say loudly enough: you cannot hide time, but you can honor it. And honoring it means turning away from the glittering powders and mattifying agents and turning instead toward the humble, healing ingredients that skin over 60 years old craves like parched earth craves rain. Skin that has weathered decades does not want to be smothered. It wants to breathe. It wants hydration that sinks deep, not illusion that floats on top. It wants oils rich in nutrients, creams packed with ceramides, gentle serums that soothe instead of sting. But many don't know this, because the industry doesn't talk about nourishment, talks about transformation. Because transformation sells, moisture doesn't. You don't see commercials glamorizing hyaluronic acid or squalane or peptides in their natural, honest forms. No, you see shimmering cheeks and photoshopped foreheads and lips pulled so tight with product they no longer look human, But let me tell you what real radiance looks like. It looks like a face that glows because it's loved, skin that reflects kindness, eyes framed not by layers of concealer but by years of seeing, understanding, forgiving, lips softened by balms, not cracked by tints pretending to be youthful. This change is not about surrender, it's about wisdom. It's about choosing a moisturizer over a mask, a nourishing oil over a powder compact, a hydrating facial mist over a setting spray. Because every product you apply should do one of two things: protect or restore. If it does neither, it has no place near your skin, especially now. Especially at this age where every choice matters more, where the margin for error is narrower, where the costs of irritation, dryness, inflammation are not just aesthetic, but physical, emotional, deeply personal. And yet, we've been trained to seek coverage, taught that good makeup fixes the face, that aging skin needs more to look acceptable. But what if the secret is less? What if the most radiant version of you is the one who finally sets down the sponge and the brush and picks up something simpler: a warm cloth, a hydrating cream, a nourishing oil, and whispers to your skin, "I'm not hiding you anymore, I'm feeding you"? What if beauty at this age is not a mask, but a ritual? A quiet moment each morning and night where you care for yourself not with desperation, but devotion. Let's talk about cleansing. Not the aggressive, foam-stripped kind, but the gentle kind. Imagine washing your face not to scrub the years off, but to refresh the spirit. Using a non-stripping, pH-balanced cleanser that removes the day's residue without robbing the skin of its precious oils. Then, imagine patting Not Robinga hydrating toner into your cheeks, following it with a serum designed to support collagen production, to nourish the dermis, not suffocate it. Then sealing it all in with a rich cream or balm, pressing it into the skin the way you would comfort a child with presence, not haste. That's real skincare. That's love made visible. And let's not forget sun protection, not just to prevent more wrinkles, but to protect the integrity of the skin you've already earned. Because sun damage doesn't stop at 40. In fact, it accelerates as our skin's defenses weaken. A daily SPF 30 or higher, ideally in a moisturizing base, can be your skin's silent shield. Not glamorous, not photogenic, but essential. And yet, even as you build this nourishing routine, even as you strip away the illusions and embrace the honest care your skin needs, something else begins to change, not just on your face, but inside you. Because when you stop chasing youth and start embracing health, you begin to see your reflection differently. You stop asking, "How do I look?" and start asking, "How do I feel?" And when your skin is calm, hydrated, and cared for, you feel good. Not because you look like your 30-year-old self, but because your 70-year-old self finally feels seen. Let's also talk about the power of ritual. There's something sacred in washing your face before bed, in massaging your temples with oil, in applying cream to your hands and neck areas often ignored, yet constantly revealing age. These small gestures become acts of resistance against a world that tells you you're no longer worth the effort. They are declarations. I am still here. I still matter. I still care. And you should. Because no matter how many years have passed, your skin remains a living, breathing part of you. It deserves the same grace and gentleness you offer your loved ones. And make no mistake, this is not vanity. This is not frivolous. This is a form of self-respect, of dignity. Because when you nourish your skin, you are also nourishing your spirit. You are telling yourself, I'm not done yet. And you're not. There is so much more life to live. So many more mornings to greet. So many more sunsets to smile beneath. And if your skin could speak, it wouldn't ask you to erase your years. It would beg you to own them. So the next time someone suggests a quick fix concealer, a miracle powder, a new trend that promises to make you look younger, ask instead, will this help my skin feel better? And if the answer is, now, walk away, because you are not a project. You are not unfinished. You are not someone in need of fixing. You are whole, and your skincare should reflect that. In a world obsessed with hiding flaws, be the one who chooses to heal. In a market that markets youth, Be the one who honors maturity. In a culture that sells transformation, be the one who celebrates evolution. Because if we're brave enough to shift the story, if enough of us stop buying the lie that age must be concealed, we might just teach the next generation that beauty doesn't fade, it deepens. And it shines brightest not when it's powdered over, but when it's nourished and free. And so, as we shed the weight of powders, abandon the false promises wrapped in glittering jars, and embrace the quiet power of nourishment, something begins to shift not just in our skin, but in the rhythm of our lives. It's easy to overlook the importance of small acts. A warm cloth pressed gently to the cheeks each morning, the tender sweep of moisturizer across a forehead etched by decades of laughter and worry, the soft scent of a rosehip serum massaged lovingly into creased temples before bed. These things may seem insignificant, mundane, even, but in the quiet corners of our lives, they hold the power to change everything. Because what if happiness in old age doesn't begin with bold reinventions, but with small decisions repeated consistently, lovingly, every day? What if the true antidote to the despair we feel when facing our reflection isn't a miracle cream or a cosmetic miracle, but simply the act of choosing ourselves deliberately, joyfully, one gentle ritual at a time? There's a dignity in routine that the beauty industry never talks about. They want you to believe that transformation must be dramatic. That joy must come in the form of before and after photos. That your value lies in shocking the world by not looking your age. But what if the greatest transformation comes not from hiding the signs of aging, but from reclaiming the daily process of being alive? What if happiness comes from not looking different, but from feeling worthy again, without apology, without permission? This is where joy lives. In the steam that opens your pores before your evening routine, in the cool drink of water your skin takes in when you pat on your favorite night cream, in the smile you see not the one on your face, but the one in your eyes as you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, not as an object to be fixed, but as a human being deeply loved, deeply valued, and deeply here. For many elderly people, the erosion of confidence doesn't come from the body aging, it comes from the world treating that aging like a problem. From children who mean well but speak to you like you're fragile. From store clerks who overlook you, from magazines and billboards that pretend you don't exist. And so you begin to forget that your presence still matters, that your image deserves care, that your reflection still holds power. But when you begin to build a rhythm of self-respect through small acts cleaning your face, not with urgency, but with affection, applying balm not just for function but for grace, something returns. A sense of agency, a flicker of joy, the realization that you don't need to change your age to feel beautiful. You only need to change the way you care for yourself. You see, confidence isn't loud. It's not the flash of red lipstick or the clang of high heels. Confidence is quiet. It's found in the way your fingers move unhurriedly across your jawline during your evening routine. It's in the steadiness of your breath as you look in the mirror and say, "I am enough." It's in the decision to wear sunscreen even on cloudy days, not because anyone will see you, but because you know you're worth protecting. And happiness? It doesn't come in a box. It doesn't arrive 2 days after you click buy now. It grows like a garden from seeds you plant daily. Seeds of consistency, of kindness, of care. You water them with intention. You protect them from the harsh winds of self-judgment. You allow them to grow slowly, organically, truthfully. That's how you cultivate a radiant spirit at 60, 70, 80, even 90. And those seeds, those seemingly small daily changes, do more than just brighten your skin. They ripple outward. Suddenly, you find yourself looking forward to your morning routine. You linger a little longer in the mirror not because you're checking for flaws, but because you're witnessing your own quiet return. You begin to wear colors you love again. You laugh more freely, unafraid of how your face moves. You accept invitations instead of making excuses. You start being seen not because you forced the world to notice, but because your light refused to stay hidden. There is magic in choosing to care, even when the world says it no longer matters, in deciding that your reflection is not an afterthought, but a priority. in proving that self-worth does not expire and joy does not belong only to the young. And once you experience that magicance, you see it build and grow and reflect back to you in every tiny act of self-love, you will never go back. Because this isn't just about skincare anymore. It's about reclaiming belonging. It's about standing in the storm of society's ageism and declaring, I am still here, I still bloom. You may not erase the lines from your face, but you will erase the weight from your spirit. You will trade despair for peace, shame for pride, invisibility for presence, and all because you dare to believe that you still deserve softness. You will notice the change in how your clothes feel because your posture will shift. You'll stand taller. You'll move with more certainty. You'll look people in the eyes, not out of defiance, but from a place of being rooted. You'll feel that your body is not a betrayal, but a companion. That your skin is not a shell to be fixed, but a story to be cherished. And others will notice too. Your grandchildren will see how you glow not from makeup, but from confidence. Your friends will ask what you've done differently, and you'll smile. Because there's no simple answer. You didn't buy something new. You became something new. Or rather, you returned to something ancient. The part of you that always knew you are worthy, without retouching, without rewinding time. So let your evening cream be your declaration. Let your lip balm be your flag. Let your sunscreen be your armor. Because these are not just products. They are tools. Tools in the quiet, radical act of aging with joy. The world may try to rush you, hide you, silence you, but with every gentle gesture of care, you speak louder than any advertisement ever could. You say, I will not vanish, I will not shrink, I will not dim my light to fit inside your mold. You will moisturize your elbows. You will apply oils to your knees. You will rub lotion into the hands that once held babies, built homes, and carried the weight of generations. And as you do, you will feel the memory of those years returning not as a burden, but as a blessing. And you'll know deep in your bones that you never needed powders to be radiant. You never needed to conceal your age to command respect. You only needed to return to the simple truth. Care is not about beauty, it is beauty. And from this moment forward, it belongs to you completely. So perhaps the most radical thing we can do at this stage of life is not to reach for another powder, but to reach inward toward care, toward softness, toward joy. Not because we want to erase who we are, but because we finally see ourselves clearly and choose to nourish what remains. Your reflection is not something to fix, it's something to honor. And every balm, every drop of lotion, every kind moment you spend with your skin is a quiet rebellion against a world that told you to hide. If this message spoke to you even just a little, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave us a comment below about your own experience with beauty products and aging skin. What has worked for you? What betrayed you? Let's build a space where wisdom is celebrated, where care is shared, and where age is never hidden but proudly, radiantly lived.